Okay. All right. I just try to do it in read it. Okay. So yes, there are times that people are going to do something that inspires you. You may see, you may go listen to somebody speak and you're like, oh my gosh, that's what I want. I saw them be super successful and I want that. So they've inspired me to work harder in school. Okay. Your teacher might inspire you. Like, you know what, she said some really good things and I want to have a good life and I want to drive a nice car and I want to be able to go on vacation. So I'm inspired to work hard now so I have a great life. Don't make me keep telling you. Well, we can practice during recess. Okay, so sometimes you read a book and you're inspired, right? Sometimes you see a movie and you're inspired. Sometimes you go listen to somebody or a family member and you're like, oh, that's awesome. I am inspired. So that is the basis of our reader for this week. The essential question, how can people inspire and change us? Our first excerpt, what's an excerpt again? Yeah, a piece of a story. Okay, we're gonna be reading a very, very, very small piece. And in this instance, this is actually a play. Okay, this is around the same time as Number of the Stars is based. So this is during World War II. Okay. This is an excerpt from the Diary of Anne Frank, a play. Okay. So the Diary of Anne Frank is an actual diary written by an actual person. Okay. The diary was found by the father after Anne, her sister Margot, and her mother were killed in a concentration camp. He found the diary, read it. He had it printed. I read it as a student. Lots of schools, it's required reading. It's been translated in many, many languages. So it is a factual true story. Yes. Okay, so Anne Frank was born in 1929. She died at 1945. She was 16 years old. Okay, was a young Jewish girl living in Germany when Adolf Hitler, Nazi Party, came to power in 1933. Under Hitler's authoritarian regime, Jewish people were the target of discrimination and eventually persecution. Okay, what's persecution? We had that word. To persecute somebody is what? Yes. It means to take out on or treat somebody poorly simply based on their religion, the color of their skin, their gender identity. Any of those things to persecute somebody, a lot of times it has to do with religion. Specifically, we talked about that when we did A City on the Hill, right? The Puritans left England because they were being persecuted. Okay. Jewish people were the target of discrimination and eventually persecution. As a result, Anne Frank and her family immigrated to the Netherlands, where they could be safe. However, during World War II, Germany invaded the Netherlands. In July 1942, Anne's family went into hiding, a secret annex. An annex is a small room. So this is a small room that, and I'm going to show you video of it, but imagine it was in an office building. So imagine if somebody came in and looked in here, they would be like, oh, there's nothing here, right? But what if I had a wall right here and there was a door right here and it just looked like a closet, but there was a secret passage. So then somebody could live in all of this space. But if you walked in, you wouldn't see it. You'd see a wall here, you'd have no idea there was a secret room. Okay. So that's what the secret annex is. And again, this is at an actual museum. We're going to take a virtual tour of it so you can kind of visualize what it looks like. Of an old office building in Amsterdam where her father, Otto Frank, had worked for 2 years. The family, along with another Jewish man and a family of 3, was cut off from the outside world. No going outside. No opening windows. So imagine 2 years of not being able to go outside, even once. Not literally breathing fresh air for 2 years. In her diary, Anne recorded her thoughts, her feelings, and her emotions during that time. in 1944, an informant betrayed the Frank family. What does an informant mean? A person that informs, right? And you broke that down. So an informant, basically somebody went to it says an informant betrayed the Frank family and the others in hiding, and they were discovered by the Gestapo, the German secret police. So the Gestapo was the German secret police. So somebody basically narked them out. Somebody was like, hey, I know this family and they're hiding. You need to go find them. They were sent to a concentration camp where Anne, her sister Margot, and her mother died. Anne's father survived. Later, he found Anne's diary and decided to publish it as a testament to her strength and her life, which was tragically cut short. Okay? So here you can see an actual picture that says interior photo of a secret passage leading to the secret annex in the house in Amsterdam where Anne Frank and her family hid during World War II. And there was also lots of families that did try to hide their friends and try to keep them safe. Huh? Just like Anne Marie and her family, and they're trying to smuggle them over somewhere where they're safe. 100%. Risking their own lives to do so. Okay, again, this is a play. This is what's called a monologue. Knowing what we know about the prefix mono, what do you think what does mono mean? One. If I say log, that means conversation, right? If Douglas and I are having a dialogue, what are we doing? We're talking. The prefix die means two. So if dialogue is two people talking, monologue is how many people talking? One. Okay, so it's kind of like a speech. Well, it is exactly like a speech. Okay, this is in the format of a play. Okay, so when we're reading a play format, you're going to have things in italics. You're also going to have things in parentheses. You don't read them. That's not for reading. Okay, so in this case, it says, Anne is in a small pool of light. Well, Anne wouldn't say that. That is to let the stage direction know what it should look like on the stage. So if I'm writing a play and I have a vision in my head, I need to give those stage directions. Okay, I'm going to say, the characters center stage, up stage, stage right, stage left. Okay, so I'm going to give those directions. Some playwrights give a lot of direction. Some playwrights no. Okay, so it's up to the director to decide what their vision is. But you don't read the stuff that's in italics. Sometimes it will say, speaks loudly, whispers, and it's giving you, says angrily. So it gives the actor or actress kind of like how to play that character or how to play that part. So in this excerpt, we said small part. It is from Act 1, Scene 2. The dramatic adaptation of Anne Frank's diary. So they adapted Anne Frank's diary, made it into a play. We hear Anne's voice through a monologue. Meek and Mr. Crowler are two of Otto Frank's business associates who helped hide and protect Frank's family and others in hiding. Okay, so this is Anne's voice. I expect I should be describing what it feels like to go into hiding. So again, now Anne is in a small pool of light. So the rest of the stage is dark. Okay, black, there's just a spotlight on Anne. Okay, so you don't see anything else. Anne's voice is full. I only know it's funny never to be able to go outdoors, never to breathe fresh air, never to run and shout and jump. It's the silence in the night that frightens me most. Every time I hear a creak in the house or step on the street outside, I'm sure they're coming for us. The days aren't so bad. At least we know that Meek and Mr. Crowler are down there below us in the office. Our protectors, we call them. I asked Father what would happen to them if the Nazis found out they were hiding us. Tim said they would suffer the same fate that we would. Imagine. They know this, and yet they come up here and they're always cheerful and gay, as if there was nothing in the world to bother them. Friday, the 21st of August, 1942. Okay. Then You have stage directions, lights begin a slow fade, voice begins a slow fade out. Today, I'm going to tell you our general news. Lights dim. Mother is unbearable. She insists on treating me like a baby, which I loathe. Otherwise, things are going better. The weather is, so then that's gonna, and you see that the lights are now 3/4 full and rising. So she's kind of giving you this kind of her thoughts in her head, and now the action is about to start. Okay. What does the word loathe mean? You hate, right? Because she says, mother is unbearable. She insists on treating me like a baby, which I loathe. I can use context clues to figure out loathe is probably something she hates, right? Loathe is very strongly this one. I loathe when people are cutting. I know. So in the other thing that usually gets a giggle, I'm proud for your maturity. They know this, and yet they come up here, they're always cheerful and gay. Okay, it doesn't mean they're wearing like a boa and they're like, it's fabulous. No, it is another word for happy. So they are cheerful and happy. Okay. So she's saying is they're literally risking their life to come take care of us. And they're not up here like, here's the food, here's this. They come up and they're cheerful and they're happy. And they're trying to make the best of the situation. They're not freaked out, they're not scared. So she's like, I can't believe that they're willing, that they treat us so good. They're always cool, they're nice, they're happy, yet it's not even super scary because they would suffer the same fate. What is the fate that they would suffer if they are captured? Not those. They would be put into a concentration camp, which most of the times led to death. Obviously, the 4 people that we know about, 3 of them died, 1 survived. So the dad survived. More likely it was the men that survived because the men were sent to work camp. So they were often sent to a camp to work while the women and children were just somebody they didn't have to keep fed. So it was easier just to. So they say, depending on where you look, anywhere from 6 million to 11 million Jewish people were exterminated, meaning they were killed. Often they were sent to, there was death camps, which a lot of times you went to, they would tell you, take your shoes off, take your furs off, put them over there. Well, you're just going to take a shower. They would march these people into a room and they would gas them. So they think they're getting a shower and literally they turn the gas on and all of the people die of asphyxiation, die from the gas. And then they open the doors. At that point, then they rip any gold teeth out that they might have, and then they burn them. So pretty awful. Why do you think they would tell them, oh, you're just taking a shower, instead of like, yeah, we're about to gas? So, huh? Right. You don't want a bunch of people freaking out going, okay, you need to go to the bathroom and take care of that? I just got a bloody nose. If you have a bloody nose, I'll let you go to the bathroom. If that's what you want to do, okay. Now, you're much easier to get people to say, oh, we're just gonna, you've been on that train for a long time. You haven't had a shower, we're just gonna get cleaned up. You're gonna most likely have people that are willing to go in versus screaming, fighting, causing issues. So you want them willingly to go in. I can imagine that moment that you realize it's not a shower. And again, these are mothers holding their children. And what would happen is like it was awful. It was very, very bad. And then even if you ended up getting to a work camp, if you see pictures, literally look like walking skeletons. They're given, when I was in college, I had to read, I don't remember the title of the book, but it was about a prisoner in Auschwitz. And that was one of the work camps. And the minimal amount of food that they got a day like I said, if you see pictures, we're talking like just skin and bone. And then imagine not only getting very little to eat, but then having to work in this. People would just drop dead because it was, like I said, awful, 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 awful. Not only were Jewish people persecuted at this time, the Germans took out anybody. You had a mental disability, bye. You had a physical disability, bye. Physical disability might be, I have a club foot, or I have like, I don't walk perfectly well. I have like a cleft palate, which doesn't necessarily affect, sometimes kids are born where, like the top lip is actually split, and then they have to have a surgery to like kind of put it back together. It's called a cleft palate. We here in the United States, if you were born that way, it's a very simple surgery. It's done very quickly. But you have in like third world countries, you have people that volunteer to go do that surgery because it doesn't allow you to eat very well. But that would be a physical disability. So it's something that I can see. So a physical disability is a disability usually I can see. Either you walk different, a mental disability I can't necessarily see, but I might, well, that's hard because I can see like Down syndrome, I can see that because there's a different look based on the chromosomes. But anybody that had any kind of disability wasn't likely to survive because during this time, Adolf Hitler's idea was there was only one perfect race, and that was the Aryan race. And that typically looked blonde hair, blue eyes. I would survive. Yeah, sorry, I'm old. Annabelle might too. Now, what's hilarious about this that I find ironic, Adolf Hitler did not have blonde hair or blue eyes. So I'm like, yeah, he had like, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, I don't understand how people, like, I'm like, I don't get it. They also did experiments on people. Like I said, anybody that was like LGBTQ, sorry, you're out. Gypsies, gone. So exterminated a lot of people. Okay, so his idea was the only perfect race was this very Nordic, very, and it is more a northern look. The lighter hair, the lighter skin, the lighter eyes, which is all just chromosomal, right? It's just because as people moved around over hundreds of thousands of years, as people moved around, they produced more melanin because where they were was sunnier. Well, the more north you get, there's less sun, right? So I need my skin to be really light. So when it is sunny, I can absorb as much of it as I can. Okay. If I'm where it's really sunny, what do I need? It's not like there was sunblock back in caveman times. They're like, oh, hold on, you need an SPF 100. No. So they had to evolve and get darker skin to protect themselves from all the sun. That's the only reason. This is just based on geography of where people migrated to and how the adaptation changed. So this whole idea that different races have like different, it doesn't make any sense. But this is what his train of thought. And again, he had also used this. He came to power in its time after World War I. Now, when you go and learn about World War I, Germany took after the war. We kind of stuck it to Germany. We were like, all your fault. You've got to pay all these reparations. So we put a lot of stuff on Germany. You need to pay, you need to do this, really sank their economy. Okay. So after this time, the German economy is bad. So that means finances are not good. They're not doing well. They have to do all this stuff to kind of pay back the world. So when somebody comes along and is like, it's not your fault, it's not your fault. Your fault over there. Isn't it a lot easier? I mean, how many times when you're in trouble, like, it's not my fault. Who's selling stuff? Very easy for people to say, oh, that sounds, it's not, I don't have Well, I don't have a job because a Jewish person stole it from me. You don't have a job because you're not working at it. But it's very easy for somebody to come along and say, it's not your fault, their fault. And if we just got rid of them, and I'm pointing at nothing. The Mario into the window. What's that? I don't know why we were peeking through the window. It's much easier for people to say, oh yeah, it's not my fault. It's their fault over there. Like that, I don't have responsibility for it. So this is why I believe in my opinion. And I do have a degree in history, so I know a little bit more. I believe that this is why Hitler was able to come into power, because he was voted in. Now, he then holds his power like a tyrant, or a dictator, but he was voted in. People were like, yeah, I like this, blame them over there, not my fault. And this is how he came into power, okay? So again, you're gonna see is, it's not like he came into power on the first day he was in power, he's like, all right, let's kill all the Jews. It was a slow workout, okay? At first, it was like they had to wear gold stars so they could be identified. And then it was like, so people were like, oh, we better not talk to them. So it made it very difficult. A lot of people left, tried to get out as soon as they get, and they were constantly moving. The German army was also getting bigger and taking over more and more and more and more. So when some of these concentration or work camps were liberated, which means Allied powers came and open the doors and free these people, it was horrific. Nobody expected. So you can still today go and take a tour of Auschwitz. Some people are saying like how not cool it is that people are like taking pictures on the tracks that led people into their death for their Instagram. Really? Like, do you think that's like not the place to be trying to make a cute picture for your Insta? Right, like, really? Like, it's a very solemn place where you would go understanding thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of people met their death. Probably not the place to try to make a cute picture for your Insta story. Just saying. Sometimes you're like, oh, okay. So I want to give you a quick look. Before I give you the all right, so let me go recording here. So look, we're gonna do this. We're gonna go function and connect room 23. I need to open this up. I need to share screen. Oh, I guess I gotta move this thing. Hold on. Okay.
Grammarly can help you write quickly and confidently, so you never have to slow down at work. Instant corrections make the writing mistake-free, while keeping it short, sweet, and fitting in tone. Join more than 20 million people who use Grammarly to write better every day. Go to Grammarly.com to download.
Oh, hold on, I gotta. Hold on.
Certifications. All this and much more is on software.com.
All right, hold on. It's not wanting me.
the average middle-class liberal Jewish family whose ancestors had lived in Germany for many centuries. Frank saw Germany, so that made it difficult for them to leave the Netherlands and start a new life away from the anti-Semitism of Union Floyd Nazis. Mr. Frank had known the fact that they would have to go into hiding was inevitable. But on July 5th, 1942, Margot, Anne's oldest sister, received a summons to report to a Nazi concentration camp. This sped up the process of them going into hiding. The next day, they would go into hiding. Now let me give you a tour of the place that the Frank family, the Vandals, as well as Mr. Dussel called home for 2 years while in hiding. From the front of the building, it looks like a pretty average business of the time. But the secret annex is actually a separate building in a way. It just has the kind of breezeway between the two buildings. The entrance into the secret annex starts as you go up this staircase that leads to the second floor. Then at the end of the hallway, you go through this door, which leads you into the breezeway between the two buildings. This is the movable bookcase that leads you into the secret annex. Now, if you move the bookcase and go through this door, then you are met with 3 places that you could turn. To the left, this is where the Franks live and sit during each day. And then to the right, there's the WC or the bathroom. Water. We will start off by going to the Franks room. So if we go through this door,
Behind you
this
there.
is the room where Mrs. and Mr. Frank sleep, as well as where the Frank family sits during the quiet portion of the day. Now, if we go into this door over here, we will be led into Anne's room, which she also shared with Mr. Dussel. Here you can see Mr. Dussel's bed. And this is Anne's bed, which has all of her celebrities above it on the wall. This is Anne's desk, and sitting on it is the famous diary. Now, if we go through these doors, we will be in the bathroom or WC. This bathroom consists of a toilet, sink, mirror, and down in the corner you can see there is a washboard for washing clothes.
Go shower.
Now, if we exit out this door, we will be back in the main entrance of the annex. If we go up to this staircase, we will be brought to the Vandals' living quarters. This is where Peter and Mrs. and Mr. Vandal live, and where both families ate and hung out. In the corner here, you can see Mrs. Vandal's fur coat. Now, if we enter this kind of hidden door, we will be in Peter's room, which is more like a landing on the way up to the attic. Anne gave Peter some of her celebrities to put on the wall to make it feel more like a room. If we go up this ladder, we will enter the attic. This is where Anne would come occasionally and look through the window at the trees outside, and she would dream of the day that she would be set free. This is pretty much it as far as the annex goes. It is a very small space, but they may do it what they have. This is
Okay. Okay, let me get this. I'm trying to find where it is though. Okay. Yes. So you can still go, to that museum today. Yeah, to Amsterdam, so you have to go to Amsterdam. But yes, you can still go and see that today. No, I don't know with the corona, if they got it open, but in theory, a few years, or when you're older and you have the opportunity to go to Amsterdam, you can actually take a tour of that. So it is still a working museum. You can actually go onto their website if you go and you look up a secret annex. Anne Frank, you can actually take a virtual tour, so you can click on things and open doors and yeah. So feel free to do that on your own leisure time. Now, what I am going to do is I am going to start with the grammar packet, and then I will have time to meet with group 1. Okay. So this week you have this one, which is antonyms. What are antonyms? Yes, what are the opposite meaning of words? So synonyms, not synonyms. Some people are on a synonym rule. Synonyms are words that mean the same. I remember synonyms are same because they both start with a S, right? Synonyms, same. I think of antonyms like anti, like the opposite. Okay. So happy, the antonym for happy is what? Sad. Okay. So here you have some words, and you might not know some of these words. Frisky. Frisky means lively, but sluggish means slow. So we've got frisky. Like, oh, look at the kitty, it's so frisky. Okay, so it's lively. Oh, my old dog is so sluggish in the morning, meaning slow. Think about slug, right? Slugs are slow. So sluggish is slow. We've got permanent, and then we've got unstable. Okay, so permanent, something is permanent. We talked about stability. Unstable is not stable, right? So not permanent. Okay. If something is tiresome, it's boring. Some of you might think grammar practice is tiresome. But I think they're interesting. No. There's so much grammar to learn. Someone who is considerate is thoughtful, but someone who is heedless is not. Don't use that word a lot. Heedless means not considerate, so you're not thoughtful. Like he was very heedless when he was late to class. Yeah, full circle. Full circle. If you are sensible, you are wise. If you are silly, you are ridiculous. Okay? So you've got some, read the word in the first column, circle the word in the row that is not an antonym. Okay? So I've got frisky, frittery, freezing, or inactive. Well, freezing has nothing to do with being frisky. Okay, freezing is about cold. It's not an name. Okay? Read the word in the first column, circle the word that is an antonym, and underline the word that is a synonym. Permanent. So you would circle the word that is an antonym, unsettled, and then circle the word that is a synonym, stable. So stable is a synonym to permanent, unsettled is not. Okay? Then you've got to fill in the blank. Read each question, choose the best answer. What is a kitten like? Sensible, frisky, or considerate? Frisky. Okay. Write a want ad for a lost pet. Use at least 3 vocabulary words. Writing to learn. You need to do that. I'll give you a hint. Probably one of the ones I'll be looking at when I grade. So use 3 vocabulary words. So if I had a lost pet, I might say, it would be considerate if you could help me find my ridiculously frisky kitten. Okay. Antonyms, play tic-tac-toe, read each word, frisky, and then you're gonna find 3 words in a row. That means frisky. Okay. That's it for that one. I think, therefore, I have read the Greek and Latin roots and the hidden within. So here's the Greek and Latin roots. The Greek and Latin roots on this are we've got Not roof or place. Oh, low. Lock, like LOC. So the Greek, Latin root, an address is a location. A dislocated shoulder is one that is not in the shoulder socket. Things that are local are in the area. So your Greek and Latin root is LOC. Okay, so I know that if I see this, it probably has something to do with a place. Okay, then we've got signs. Okay, so we've got Latin root for signature, signal. So this is for mark, make your mark. Like a signature, significant, important, or remarkable. We've got NAT. And that is native, nation, innate, and that is the root for born. So no, if it was innate, it was, you're like born with it. Natives are those that were born in a certain place. A nation is made up of people who are born in that country. To know. Recognize, I know. Incognito, to go into hiding, so that you are not known, or recognizable. I recognize you, you are known. Oh, and the Latin root for foot, head. Right? So we've got a pedestrian, one who walks, a biped. What do we know about biped? 2. So if I'm a biped, am I a biped? How many feet do I walk on? 2. So if I was a quadruped, it was a quadruped. Give me an example of a quadruped. Bear. Dog. Cat. Tiger. Cat. Anything that walks on 4. A bear is one of those. So again, this is one of those examples of if I have never seen the word, I would say those can be both too, because again, gorillas walk on. If I had never seen this word, but I was like, oh, I know why means 2. I know head means what. I can probably figure out that's something that walks on 2 feet. So that's one of the reasons that we learn, right? A podiatrist is somebody that looks at feet. Okay. So again, these are things. If I said so again, this is why we're well, like a tribe and like that. Okay, and again, your usual stuff on these, not your first time with these. And then punctuation for effect. What do you think that means? Punctuation for effect. What's one of the big punctuation marks we use for effect? I'm like, oh my God! Exclamation point. Another one, but effects really have a lot to do with this, and the other one that really has to do with effect is the ellipses. That dot dot. Okay, a playwright can use punctuation. Obviously, this goes with what are we studying right now? We're reading a play, an excerpt from a play, so it makes sense that they would use this grammar topic. A playwright can use punctuation to show actors how to deliver certain lines. An exclamation point is used to add excitement or tension. Ellipses can signal a pause or a shift in the character's thinking. Stop that right now. Well, now, I'm just not sure about this. They use ellipses. So, add an exclamation point where it's most effective. Wow. Probably put an exclamation point there. That girl is an amazing singer. Okay. Good grief. Dot, dot, dot. Did you see that? Okay, so you've got that, and it does say rewrite. So you need to rewrite the sentence. You've got a punctuation perfect, rewrite each line, add exclamation point or ellipses where it is most effective. Complete each sentence with a spelling word. You've got synonyms and antonyms. Oh, that's not good. And then open syllables. So same as always. I'm going to pass these out. I'm just going to give you all 3. But I am going to still tell you where to go because you do have time to work with a group on this. I am going to meet with group 1. Let me go ahead and stop this.